What's up, y'all? Keith Dykes here with W.K.D. Construction. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, thanks for stopping by. You can always hit that subscribe button, man, and come back. Check us out all the time. So let's go build something. Well, y'all, it is the next part in our Dykes Home series where we insulate our concrete slab. Slab insulation is definitely not standard practice in my area at all. Most of the time people just throw down some 6 mil plastic and call it good. But it is necessary if you're doing a radiant heat system for sure, because if you don't, the ground just sucks all. You're putting a lot of energy into heating the concrete, and if you don't insulate it, it just simply, it will just get sucked out by the ground. So you need that thermal break between your concrete and the earth. There are a few brands that you can get. But I got to looking and I just decided to go with the Halo Subterra. It is made for an under-slab application. I think this is the 20 PSI. I'm not 100% on that. They do have different PSI ratings for strength, you know, underneath the concrete itself. But it is I was pretty impressed how rigid it is just walking on it. It doesn't dimple it at all. So it does take and that's putting your heel in it. So you take concrete over 4.5 inches deep and you put it over a foot of it, it's got a pretty good firm base. I don't know how all that equals out scientifically, but I know it is made for under slab application, and it does have a vapor barrier, which is very important. So with the vapor barrier, you're not going to get all of the moisture and the radon gases and stuff leaking up in through that layer. So there's actually 2 layers of vapor barrier. There's one on top and there is one on the bottom of the panel as well. And to keep with that vapor barrier being intact when we put the panels together, the sheets together, I took zip tape and we taped all the seams, so that sucker is watertight, you know what I mean? And I think in the video I do show where we try to take the chop saw and cut a roll in half of zip tape. No bueno, don't do it. Don't do it. The saw, it made a complete mess. I knew it probably would, but we put an old blade on it and went with it anyway. No bueno. But that way we put the zip tape on there and it just sealed it all the way. The whole thing is just an envelope sealed. That is what you want. The Halo Subterra is a graphite infused rigid foam insulation. That's what gives the dark charcoal color, is the graphite. I guess however they impregnate it into the BBs, I don't know, but that helps with the water absorption. I guess it some way or another prevents it, I guess. I don't know, it's kind of what I've read. And then we put our wire sheeting on there, and then we strapped our tubing to it. I know there's some other insulation companies you can get that's got the troughs and stuff for the tubing, but I couldn't just go down the road and get it, you know what I mean? I had the Halo Subterra, I had to take about an 1.5 hour drive, but it was, able to get that day when I needed it. If you're about to build a home and you are going to have a slab foundation, man, I'd probably highly recommend doing some of the insulation underneath the slab and on the exterior, creating a thermal break. It will just help the energy efficiency of your home, because if any of the concrete is exposed anywhere on the side of your house, that cold will transfer into that slab and bring the temperature down inside. You know what I mean? During the wintertime. Summertime, it's not so big a deal, but wintertime is really where you need the efficiency of the thermal break. So we've got the brick ledge detail, it's all on. As you see, I did put some gravel in here, just kind of put a base layer, and we are starting to rough in all of our plumbing, and then we'll come back after we get the plumbing roughed in, then we'll put more gravel, get it compacted, and then we'll be ready for the foam. So, but we got to get all this subgrade ready to go before we put any insulation on, because concrete's high nowadays, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy what it costs. But we're just doing our final grading, getting our rock up to subgrade, which is basically going to be 5.5 inches from the top of the form, because I want a 4-inch slab, 1.5 inch foam, so we got 5.5 inches. So we're taking a laser, setting it up over there on the rim, and then we can measure our height and see, you know, keep our depth right. So just a little manual labor's all. I don't really want to get the backhoe in here, and then you have to run over plumbing and all that stuff. So we just use a forklift, get it really close, and hand finish it from there. Works. All right, so now we've got everything to grade. I want to kind of create a cavity in between the wall and the excavation part. I'm trying to keep that vapor barrier envelope all the way, you know, surrounding all of the gravel. I couldn't really do it on the bottom. I guess I should have put a little piece of plastic underneath there, but I'll show you what we got going on. So we've taken some of the Subterra, ripped it down to 10.5 inches. That will give me the height I need. That will be the set height of where my foam will go on top of it. So we've got all that set. We ripped that, and then I took some pieces that are 10 inches and kind of put a filler in there, and then we took a foam and just some spray foam, and now we're gluing everything together to make it hopefully stay a little bit rigid. And then we're taking gravel, will be filled up to the top, and after that is done, we'll come back with our insulation. Which will be a full sheet. And we can take some foam, and we will foam that down like so. That way we have a nice tight envelope, and I've got a way to cut the gravel off from spilling over into the footing part, and then also it'll keep from the insulation blowing up when we put concrete in there, because if it's not set really tight and you get concrete in there, it gets away from you or something, it could potentially blow the insulation up. So this way we're going to glue everything, make everything nice and tight, nice envelope, and keep that vapor barrier underneath the house really, really tight. We're just gluing those to there, use a nail just to kind of hold it. And then once we get everything glued together, then we're just backfilling it with 4 or 5 inches of gravel just to kind of hold it tight till the glue sets. Glue sets, then we'll come back and fill it all the way up with gravel. So I'm just setting the grade of the rock to make sure, just adjusting it to make sure once I put the 10.5 inch rip in there, then it will be to the bottom side of our slab insulation. That's all I'm doing, just trying to keep everybody moving. We are calling it a day. Brent was cold. He was wrapped up like a dang kid going to play out in the snow. He couldn't take it no longer. He was cold. Of course, he ain't got no meat on his bone, so he gets cold. He just gets thin blood. But we've got, I don't know, not quite half of our insulation. So we should have all the plumbing whooped in the morning, all it roughed in, and then we'll be ready to put the rest of our gravel in here. Gravel, and then finish up our cavity insulation. Holy cow, string getting caught on the string. But yeah, once we get our gravel, then we'll come back and finish our cavity insulation and be close. So all of our plumbing has been roughed in, and I'm doing a pour test. Went all the way down there. I don't know, poured a gallon of water in there, made sure it came out properly, and it did. It flowed really well. I don't pressure test in the slab. I just usually do a drain test. There's no plumbing code that I get expected to have a pressure test, so I just do a drain test. But as you can see, I got water to come out from, I don't know, 70 feet over there. But now we're fixing to put the last pieces of form on there, get it braced up, and then we will be ready to finish our cavity insulation and put some rock in there. So I gotta go pick up a sled tamper, and because it's gonna be kind of deep over here, so I'd like to do some lifts and get it packed in there nice and tight. So that's what we're about to do. The gravel to grade, we're just kind of tightening it up, try to get rid of some humps. We'll go back and check it after we get it tamped, see if we need to add a little bit of rock here and there. We'll just kind of throw a little loose stuff on there if we need to, and if not, we'll be ready for foam. Actually, we got to get it sprayed for termites first, and then we'll be ready for foam. Jimmy has been, I can go this way. Jimmy has been on the sled tamper and just about got, I don't know, 3/4, the majority of the house. We got him tamped down. So we are basically to finish grade. We still got to fill in just a little bit over there. And then over on the deep part in the master wing side, we put about a 4 to 6 inch lift of gravel in there, and then he tamped it, because it's going to be about 10 inches deep of rock. So we may do 1, 2, 3, a couple lifts, you know, and pack it down. That way we get a nice firm footing underneath our insulation. I have talked to Monty Stevenson of Stevenson Concrete, And talked to him this morning, and I think he's going to be able to jump on it next week, next Thursday. It is Wednesday of this is the 3rd, January 3rd of 2024. Hope y'all had a wonderful, happy New Year. Safe, happy New Year. I did. I had a really good time. We seen some family that I hadn't seen in a while, some friends. We got a lot of laughs, so I had a really good time. But he couldn't get it to it this week, which I won't be done. We won't be done. We're gonna have to get all the gravel in here, get it all compacted. Then I got to get a termite pre-treat. I do have to get that sprayed because we're in Tennessee and termites are a pretty bad deal. So we go ahead and pre-treat the ground. They just soak it down, put a chemical on it, and we should be good to go. And then yearly they'll just come by and kind of spray around the exterior. But we want to make sure that all this gravel doesn't have any termites or any insects of any type in there, but especially termites. I am going to have a storm room here in my house. We're gonna make a closet, one of the little sections of closet in the master, into a safe room. So we have to prepare for that. We got to have a footing underneath it. It is going to be an ICF structure, so we need to have a little footing to actually give it a little more strength to hold the weight of the concrete safe room. So we're just we're getting ready to form some stuff up with make a little footing trough and try to make this Halo Subterra insulation still work and kind of do the same thing as what we did with the cavity insulation. So we're just trying to make a little footing in and then be able to wrap it with insulation. We've got all of our pieces glued into place. We're basically gonna set the top of the side forms with the top of the gravel. That way, once we put the floor insulation on, we've got a little trough for the concrete to go into. So I'll basically have about an 8-inch deep footing by 11 inches wide, just to support. We're gonna put some steel in it. That way we can stub up and come up into the ICF and really hold. That's what's going to hold the storm room down to the slab. So we are going to run a little rebar and tie some stub ups through the concrete. We're bending some rebar coming up out of the slab. We got this with a little hook on the top of it. That way it just kind of gives the locks into the concrete just a little better than just having a vertical shaft in there.
Yeah, it's wicked, all right. Yeah.
Well, I needed some point load footings for where some of the trusses and some of the roof system's going to be setting on, so that gives us a little extra support. So I've got a little footing there and 2 more through there. We just took some of the foam, basically did the little, just like we did the footing on the storm room, dug the gravel down and just setting it in there and put a little rebar in there. And then once we put the floor insulation on there, then we'll have a 8-inch deep cavity. So that will be ample for the load I need. I'm not doing 2 stories, so just supporting the roof. And since this Halo Subterra is EPS foam, you know, like the BBs, it kind of holds the spray foam a little better, glues together better than the XPS foam. You know, it's really slick.
Maxed out, so. however much that means.
Footing trough. Had to get another load of the limestone. This end over here at the this end of the house is really eating it up because we basically got 10 inches of fill since the grade kind of fell down. So it's eat up a little more gravel than I anticipated, but gravel's cheaper than concrete. So I got that loaded. I just dropped that off a minute ago. So in the morning we'll get back, get that all buttoned up to grade, tamp back in. I can take the tamper back to service rental, and then I may have a couple more point loads to figure out over here. But their footings, our little footings turned out pretty cool. And I think once we'll foam the floor insulation down, and I think it'll make a nice envelope. It'll have everything insulated. It won't have any you know, we shouldn't be able to have any infiltration of cold. The slab should be really insulated really well. But yeah, so I'm getting excited. Hopefully we can get termite pre-treat here tomorrow, maybe by lunch. If I can get it by lunch, it'll have a few hours to set before. I think they're calling for a little rain tomorrow night. So I'd rather have the termite pre-treat soak into the ground pretty good before it does rain, because next week I think they're calling for a little bit of more rain. And I really don't have a window of opportunity to get it sprayed next week before we get it poured. So if everything which all the rain coming in may mess up my concrete, guys. So, but I am going to try to get it poured, or try to get it pre-treated tomorrow. The Serval termite pre-treat guys here, he is spraying a insecticide of some sort, whatever, termite killer, and he's spraying it all over the foundation. They just coat the entire surface area of the floor, and that gets down into the ground, and I guess just doesn't allow the termites to be able to get into your home at a later date. So they just spray the perimeter, all of the rock that's in there. I want to get that all treated. That way they don't have any, I guess, maybe termite eggs or whatever, I don't know. But they ensure that we don't have any insects later. It is insulation install this morning. We're going to use our Halo Subterra, and all our gravel has been compacted, is to grade. We've had our termite pre-treat, so we are ready to start our slab installation. So I think we're just going to start on this back corner. I think we're supposed to have a storm. Not really a storm, but the wind's supposed to be getting up tonight, so we're going to try to do install kind of a section and then go ahead and put wire on it. That way it'll hopefully hold it down and not get blowed up, which we are going to tape the seams, and I am going to foam around the edges, so hopefully we'll have a good perimeter lockdown. That way it's not going to do anything tonight, because they're calling for like 30 to 40 mile-an-hour winds, and yeah, we don't want that blowing out everywhere. So let's get started. Well, there is my whole trailer load full of insulation. We're using, like I said, the Halo Subterra, and this is 1.5 inches thick. So pretty good cost point. Basically acts as a vapor barrier. Got a smooth, slick, I don't know what that is. I guess some sort of plastic on that side. and on the back side as well. We're trying to keep it straight, so we're just basically running a string from front to back at 4 feet. And I know the inside will be, or the outside into my little cavity won't be perfect, but that'll be all right. We're gonna tape it anyhow and foam it. So anywhere a foam setting on top of foam, I just use a little spray foam. And just take a few nails, stick it, and then we'll tape it. FYI, don't try to cut a half a roll of zip tape in half, because it turns into a gummy mess. We tried, it didn't work. I mean, we did, but it was not good. We have this little master room section done. I was wanting to put the wire on before we make sure we got the wire setting on it tonight, and then I think we'll throw maybe some blocks on there just to make sure we get a nice hold down. But we got our wire sheets. These are 5x10s, and we're just overlapping them 4 or 5 inches, and then we'll tie them together and create one big mat, and then we'll be ready to lay out our PEX plumbing on top of the wire sheeting. In our cavity, our little cavity wall, stem wall, just taking some wire sheet, cut it down, and we're bending them. That way they'll go over and into the little stem wall, just to give it a little more structural integrity. We're expecting a little wind tonight, so we didn't get all of the insulation in there, so I decided to just kind of weight that edge down, because we are supposed to get some 30-40 mile-an-hour winds, maybe even 50 mile-an-hour gusts. Everything else around the edge has been foamed and taped down, so I think I'm pretty confident that will be fine. Of course, all the wires on there, it's all tied together. All the seams are taped on the panels, so I think it's pretty well held down, except on this edge. I just don't want wind to get up underneath it. But hopefully it will be all just like it sets in the morning. We will see. Thank goodness our hold downs held, because the wind blew probably 24 hours like crazy, and I kept looking out all the time to make sure it wouldn't blow it up, but it worked. So we're gonna finish putting all our insulation down, get our wire down, And then we'll start on our PEX plumbing or radiant heating tubing, radiant heat tubing. So if you're trying to do a little grading on a windy day, use your laser. Down, wire sheets are down, everything is just about tied together. And I was gonna try to pour. This is what's today, Wednesday? Yeah, it's Wednesday. I was gonna try to pour Thursday, but we're getting ready to have sub-zero temperatures on like Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, so I'm gonna hold off. I don't want to have to cover it with tarps and straw and all that stuff, so I'm just gonna hold off. We're gonna get it all ready, put our PEX tube in there, and just wait to pour it next week, and it kind of warms up, because yeah, I don't want to risk this moisture in the slab freezing and busting and all that stuff. You know, we've got a lot of money in concrete, so we're just gonna hold off and not be rushed about this. I get my PEX tubing in there, pressure test it and all that, so we'll just have to wait till the following week to pour it, because it's gonna be cold anyway next week, and it's bitterly cold for our area. I know a lot of y'all, you'd be laughing, but yeah, it'd be around zero, so we're gonna hold off. Well, I'm about to start installing this PEX tubing for our radiant heat, and I've been trying to map out in my head how we need to run the tubing and use it efficiently. We're going to use 1/2-inch oxygen barrier PEX. I'm going to try to keep it, I got 300-foot rolls. They say to keep it under 300 feet to maximize your water, because I guess after that your water starts losing temperature pretty good. So we're going to try to keep it under 300 feet rolls. I'm not going to specifically, I know there's different spacing you can do. In my barn over here, I've got it at 4 feet, and it works fine. So I may go down to 3 feet on the house. We're probably going to install 3 zones, if not 4 zones. I got 4 rolls of 300-foot PEX. So we are going to do some different zones. That way we can kind of isolate heat later on down the road if we need to. And this is not going to be my main source of heat. I'm just doing this as a bonus. It's a slab, so we need to go ahead. We can't come back later and add it. So I'm going to go ahead and install all the tubing and all the insulation, all that, and the thermal brakes to you know, to help me with my heat. We are going to use it, but it's not going to be my main source of heat. So hold up real quick. Let's talk about tubing spacing. So I live in Northwest Tennessee. It is very rare to get below 0. I mean, if it's in the teens, that's kind of cold for us. And you know, if it's several days in the teens, you know, that is rare as well. I mean, we might get 2 or 3, 4 day snap that may be in the teens, but it's usually going to be above freezing within that 3, 4, 5 day window at some point. It just doesn't get that cold and stay that frigid. So in the video, I said I put it on 36-inch spacing. That in my area is perfect. On the barn over here, I've got it 48 inches, and it will actually run you out of that place. You can't keep it that hot. So it has no problem radiating the heat in an 18-inch span from that tube on a 36-inch spacing. for me. I know I've showed stuff with videos, you know, like my shorts and stuff that have the tubing in there, and there's been a lot of comments on saying it's way too far. In some areas, I'm sure it is. In some regions, I'm sure it is. Up north, yeah, I'm sure you have to have it narrow or spaced closer together. But in my area, I don't. It's 36 is perfectly fine. And it also helps that it is not my main heat source. You know, as I said in the video, it's just a bonus. So it's just a bonus. My manifold system will be on that right there is going to be the garage. So I'm going to bring all of my tubing up inside the wall instead of being on the outside of the wall. So we'll be inside that framed wall in the garage, and then we can do whatever I need to later, you know, when I get out into the wall and start doing all my copper tubing and all that. But I am going to do some sort of bracket here on the bottom. I got some unistruts, brackets, and some 1-inch conduit sweeps. That way we can run our pipe up in there and keep that concrete away from the pegs, you know, when it's moving. So we're gonna get this location, get it started. I gotta do a little bracket work, or just do some rough, get some lumber and just make it where we can hold the unistrut and be able to fasten and mount our sweeps into position. Now we'll have a place to run our tubing up. It'll set in the concrete, you know, the sweeps will set up in the concrete and be stable. So we're just using the unistrut just to hold everything still. We'll run them up in there. Like I said, it's going to be in the wall regardless of it. It really doesn't matter. And yeah, we'll go from there. This stuff is not easy to work with, especially in the cold. It's been inside, but in the shop, but it's still kind of hard to work with. We're just using 4-inch zip ties and tying it to the wire. I'll have to tie it pretty regular to keep it from moving when the concrete gets poured. There is zone 1, kind of be my bedroom area. I'm just trying to run it out and measure and stuff as I was going, but it's kind of hard. We ended up pretty close though. But I'll just go ahead and tie those together. That'll be my supply and my return. One loop, I'll tie them together. That way I know what's going on. Zone 2. That's Lydia's room, and zone 3, I think we're just gonna start going. I may have to do zone 4, like I said, I don't know, we'll see. do about 3 in between. So I just, you just have to run the 3 here and then just whatever it is there. Either 1 or 5.5. For my plumbing, like where my tub and showers and stuff go, I don't have my P-traps roughed in. I just got the 2-inch pipe running, you know, underneath the slab. So we're going to take some foam, cut it 14 by 14 inches, and stack it up to the height of our floor, which will be 4 inches. Glue it all together, and we'll just foam and stick it down in place on top of the subterra. And that way, once we pour our floor, then all we have to do come back later is just pull the styrofoam out. I've done a lot of times building forms out of wood and stuff, but they get swelled up and they're kind of a booger. So we're gonna go with foam on this one.
Later setting in foaming or foaming now?
Hoo-wee, that's been a minute coming, man. It's been a lot of work to get ready to pour concrete, and we're finally there. But unfortunately, the weather's gonna get super cold, and I don't want, you know, if we pour it tomorrow, it's supposed to get below freezing on Sunday. Tomorrow is Thursday, so it's supposed to get below freezing on Thursday and not get above freezing again until the following Wednesday. So I mean, from Sunday to Wednesday, it'll be below freezing. So I don't want any chance of this slab freezing. I know we could put heat mats on it and straw and all that, but that's a bunch of crap. I think I'd just rather just hold up, wait, and know that I've got, when I pour it, I'll have several days of good weather, you know, in front of me. Because being, you know, it's a mono slab, I don't want it to freeze and pop out and make it brittle. So I don't want any chance of that at all. So we're just gonna hold out, wait till the weather breaks just a little bit. Even if it's a week and a half, I don't care. I'm gonna wait. So laying out the pipe it's not too bad. As I said earlier, I did do 3 foot. I kept them spaced at 3 foot. Some of it's closer, you know, like right in through there. But I think this is going to be a super energy efficient insulation slab, you know what I mean? Because I've got 2 inches of foam on the outside, you know, or actually it's more than that. I think it's like R55 on the outside with the mono slab easy form, and then I've got the 1.5 inch Subterra, which is 5.7. I think it's 7 is R7 in the floor, So man, I think it's really, it'll hold the heat really well. It won't escape. Like on my barn, I just got 1-inch foam underneath it and really no thermal break. I did put a little 1-inch foam on the outside after I poured it, but this is a totally different animal. So I think it'll be the 36-inch spacing will be fine. You can do whatever you want to. It's totally up to you. Like I said, I'm not going to use it for my main source of heat. We will have gas HVAC, but this definitely makes it nice during the winter time to get that temperature up on the floor. All my piping I ended up running 4 zones. That's kind of good because you can kind of turn zones off if you don't need the heat. You know, if I don't need it in the kitchen, that's fine, and I want it in the bedroom, and then Lydia wants it in her bedroom, then we can just keep those on. We don't necessarily have to run the whole floor at one time, because it can get hot. A friend of mine, Tuffy Craig over at Southern Concrete, he's been head guy over there for a long time. He built his house, I don't even know how many years, maybe 15-20 years ago. He used ICF forms, ICF, and then he did do radiant heat. He was the first one to actually do it in our area that I knew of, so I kind of went off of him and did it on a previous house. But he's only got one zone, the whole floor, and he says, man, it gets too dang hot. You know, you can't control it. It might be good in the living room, but in the bedrooms it's just too steamy. So if you've got a big footprint, you need some different zones. That way you can isolate rooms, or however you want to do your zones. You can isolate rooms or sections to be able to you can kind of get the heat set right, you know, by doing that. And it will definitely heat your house. I mean, I'm going to have foam insulation in the walls and the ceiling, so I will definitely be able to heat the house with the radiant heat if I wanted to. I probably won't. I'm just going to use that as a bonus a bonus heat. But another thing is, if the electricity goes off and you have radiant heat, you don't have a generator. I will have a generator back up here, but say I didn't, I'm going to have a tankless water heater that is going to be heating the system, and it only runs off 110. So I can have a small generator outside running the pumps and the water heater, and I will be able to actually keep my house warm in an emergency situation. All right, y'all, so that was it. That was my video on our concrete slab insulation here at the Dykes Home project. So once again, I am Keith Dykes. Thanks for watching, and you guys have a wonderful afternoon.